Zimbabwe and South Korea's relations date back for many years since the establishment of the South Korean embassy in Zimbabwe in 1995. I'm joined by Ambassador Do Bonke, who presented his credentials to the President Emerson Mnangagwa in July of this year to discuss more about his role and mandate in order to grow and bolster the cooperation between the two countries. But before we get into the thick of things, just tell us, who is Ambassador Bonke?
I started my diplomatic career in 1994. I served our embassies in Vietnam, Canada, Thailand, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia, and came here to serve as ambassador. I presented my credentials to His Excellency President Mnangagwa on the 2nd of July. My embassy opened here in 1995. Our two countries established diplomatic relations in 1994. Just after 1 year, we opened our embassy in Harare, 1995. Our embassy is also covering the diplomatic relations with Zambia and Malawi as well.
October 3 remains a very big date on the South Korean calendar. What role does this day play in terms of South Korea's affairs?
The October 3rd is Korea's National Foundation Day. National Foundation Day. It is also known as the Festival of Opening the Heaven. It commemorates the legendary founding of our first kingdom in 2333 BC, before Christ, long time ago. Yeah. At that time, the kingdom was called as Gojoseon, or Old Korea. It was the first Korean kingdom. According to the Korean legend, Dangun, the king and the son of God, created the system of government and instituted laws and moral code of our Korean people. He ruled the kingdom with the humanitarianism. This myth is very important in that it links the Korean people with the heavenly origin. This year celebrates the 4,353rd anniversary of Korean National Foundation Day.
Let's get to the bilateral relations between Zimbabwe and South Korea. How do you explain the journey of these relations since 1995, and where do you see these relations going forward?
Korea and Zimbabwe established their diplomatic relations in 1994. Despite their comparatively short ties and geographically remoteness, the two countries have developed bilateral relations in diverse areas, including agriculture, education, health, and humanitarian assistance. The Korean government has continued agricultural cooperation with Zimbabwe for the past decade through KAPACHI. KAPACHI is Korea-Africa Food and Agricultural Initiative to conduct research projects, on-the-job training, and workshops on the priority agricultural issues. In 2016, the Korean and the Zimbabwean government jointly established the COPIA. COPIA is the Korea Program for International Cooperation in Agricultural Technology to implement numerous projects in the agricultural area. Korea recently implemented ICT transforming education in Africa to support the development of ICT education in 3 African countries, including Zimbabwe. Korea became the first nation which transformed its status from the recipient country to a donor country in the international community. This is one of the first nations. During my term in Zimbabwe, I will do my best to help Zimbabwe to share our development experience, especially in the agricultural sector. I totally agree with the Zimbabwean government that the agriculture should lead to the Zimbabwean Vision 2030 for the upper middle income economy.
Zimbabwe's vision is to become an upper middle income country by the year 2030. Just explain to us how South Korea seeks to help Zimbabwe attain this vision, especially in terms of economic cooperation.
As you touched upon the government policies, actually my government is also focused on the agricultural development during our process of economic growth. My previous government had kind of a Semal movement. Semal movement is a new village movement to cultivate our spirit of, transform our spirit, our mind. We can do better in the rural area. We focused on the developing our roads by our hand and building new village buildings with our hand. Actually, my provincial government, Gyeongsangnam-do province, supported Mashonaland Central Province to open Semal Undong Center in the Usonga area, Mashonaland Province. I think these projects will give us some impressions how to cooperate each other for Zimbabweans' national building and the national economic growth.
In the wake of this deadly COVID-19 pandemic, South Korea is one of the countries which has managed to control the spread of this pandemic, and also with a very low death rate. Tell us, how do you intend to help Zimbabwe also to attain this impressive record that you have set in the world?
Korea, with a population over 50 million, has reported around 24,400 COVID-19 cases and only 427 deaths. Korea has recently averaged 2-digit numbers of new daily cases. Foreign media have regarded Korea as one of the states halting virus transmission better. Korea's response to COVID-19 stands out because it flattened the epidemic curve quickly. We didn't have any closing business, and issuing staying-at-home orders or issuing lockdown measures. My government has 3 T principles: trace, test, and treatment, and compliance by the people. Korea built hundreds of innovative, high-capacity screening clinics, over 600. They conducted 15 to 20,000 tests per day. We isolated infected patients, supported those in quarantine to increase compliance. After our flood response to an outbreak of Middle East respiratory syndrome, MERS, in 2015, we made several reforms to health system to boost preparedness. Korea's experiences may offer additional lessons about how to keep case numbers low without limiting business capacity. We would like to note that Zimbabwe has recently kept coronavirus infections relatively low compared with the other neighboring countries. I acknowledge much the work of COVID-19 government response team of Zimbabwe. In this pandemic situation, if we stand together, we will overcome global challenges. Alone we can do little. Together we can do so much. It is the time to show global solidarity to cope with this pandemic. The Korean government already donated 100,000 face masks to help strengthen the Zimbabwean government's response towards the COVID-19 pandemic. My government is also closely watching WHO in supplying COVID-19 testing kits valued at around $300,000 US to the Zimbabwean government. We can do better together.